You've aced every technical question. You've researched the company. You've dressed the part. You've answered every behavioral question with confidence and clarity. And then the recruiter leans forward and says, "So, what are you looking for in terms of compensation?" And you open your mouth and say 5 words that just cost you $10,000 a year. Most candidates don't lose salary negotiations because they ask for too much. They lose them because they signal, before the offer is even on the table, that they'll accept whatever they're given. And the worst part? The phrases that do the most damage sound completely reasonable. They sound polite, they sound collaborative, they sound like exactly the kind of thing a good candidate would say. They are not. What's up, everyone? It's Liza. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about what's actually happening in your career, not the sanitized version they hand you in a corporate handbook. Today, we are breaking down 5 toxic phrases that instantly kill your salary leverage during the interview, why each one signals weakness to the recruiter sitting across from you, and exactly what to say instead. Because in 2026, the job market is tight, budgets are scrutinized, and if you give a company permission to underpay you, they will take it. Every single time. Let's get into it. Toxic phrase number 1, I'm flexible. This one feels like the right answer. It feels open-minded. It feels like you're easy to work with. But here is what a recruiter hears when you say you're flexible on compensation. I don't know what I'm worth, and I'm hoping you'll tell me. Flexibility is a negotiating position you hold after an offer has been made. It is not something you volunteer before one exists. The moment you say you're flexible, you've handed the other side the pen and told them to fill in whatever number they feel like. And they will. Not because they're evil, but because you've given them explicit permission to anchor the conversation at the lowest number that's still technically acceptable. Here's what you say instead. When asked about salary expectations early in the process, you say, I want to make sure we're aligned on the full scope of the role before I give a number that doesn't reflect the actual position. Can you share the budgeted range for this role? You've redirected, you've maintained leverage, and you've made them move first.
Toxic phrase number 2, my current salary is. This one is so common and so damaging that multiple states in the US have now passed laws making it illegal for employers to ask it. And yet candidates volunteer this information constantly, completely unprompted. Here's the problem with sharing your current salary. It anchors every conversation that follows to a number that has nothing to do with the market value of the new role. If you're currently underpaid, which many people are, you've just given the company a blueprint for keeping you underpaid. They don't have to offer you what the role is worth. They just have to offer you slightly more than what you currently make. You'll feel like you got a raise. You'll have actually left money on the table. Your current salary is not relevant data for a new employer. It reflects the decisions, the market conditions, and yes, sometimes the negotiating missteps of a job you're leaving. It does not define your market value today. If you're asked directly, and this still happens, you say, I'd rather focus on what this role warrants in the current market than tie the conversation to a different company's compensation structure. That's it. That's the answer. Professional, clear, and it keeps the negotiation where it belongs, on the value of the new role, not the baggage of the old one. Toxic phrase number 3, I just really want the opportunity. Oh, this one breaks my heart every time, because I know why people say it. You're excited, you've been in a difficult job market, you genuinely want this role, and you want them to know you're serious, so you say it. Honestly, I just really want the opportunity. The money is secondary. You have just told a recruiter that you will accept below market compensation because the badge on your lanyard matters more to you than your bank account. And a recruiter's job, part of it, is to close candidates at the lowest number possible. You've made that job very easy. Enthusiasm is an asset in an interview. Desperation is a liability. And the line between the two is whether you've detached your emotional investment from your compensation conversation. You can want the job deeply and still negotiate firmly. In fact, the best candidates do exactly that.
They communicate genuine excitement about the role and the company while making it clear that they expect to be compensated at market rate. Those two things are not in conflict. What you say instead is, I'm genuinely excited about this role and what the team is building here. I also want to make sure that if we move forward, we're set up for a strong, long-term relationship. And that starts with compensation that reflects the value I'm bringing. That's a sentence that communicates excitement without handing away your leverage.
Toxic phrase number 4. I don't want to seem greedy. This phrase, or any version of it, does something very specific. It signals to the recruiter that you feel guilty for having salary expectations. And the moment you signal guilt around money, you've told them that you can be made to feel bad for asking. That is an extraordinarily dangerous position to be in during a negotiation. Nobody at the table across from you is apologizing for the company's budget. Nobody is saying they don't want to seem stingy. The company is advocating for its financial interests without apology. You need to do the same thing. Asking to be paid what you're worth is not greedy. It is the entire point of a compensation negotiation. The discomfort many people feel around this moment, especially women, especially people from backgrounds where discussing money was considered rude or inappropriate, is real. I'm not dismissing it. But that discomfort is costing you money every single year. Compounded over a career, it costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Drop the apology. You don't need it. What you say instead is simply the number, stated clearly and without flinching. Based on my research and the scope of the role, I'm targeting a base salary of X. No apology attached. No qualifier. The number stated as a fact.
Toxic phrase number 5. Whatever you think is fair. This is the most dangerous phrase on this list and possibly the most common. It sounds humble. It sounds trusting. It sounds like you're a team player who doesn't make things difficult. What it actually sounds like to a recruiter is, I have done zero research. I have no number in mind, and I am completely at your mercy. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Fairness is entirely subjective. And in a salary negotiation, the company's definition of fair starts at the lowest number they can justify. When you say, whatever you think is fair, you are not appealing to their generosity. You are removing every reason they have to be generous, because you've just told them you have no floor. The candidates who get the strongest offers are the ones who come in with a number and a rationale, not because they're aggressive or difficult, but because they've signaled to the organization that they understand their own value, and they've done the work to validate it. That signal alone shifts the dynamic of the conversation. What you say instead. I've looked at market data for this role and at this experience level, and I'm targeting a base of X. I'm happy to talk through the full package and see where we land. You have a number. You have a rationale, and you've kept the door open for a real conversation instead of handing them a blank check. Here's the bottom line that nobody in your career center told you. Recruiters are professionals. They do this every single day. They know within the first few minutes of a compensation conversation whether they're talking to someone who has done their homework or someone who is operating on hope. And when they detect the latter, the offer reflects it. The 5 phrases we just talked about are not random mistakes. They are symptoms of the same underlying problem. The belief that being likable, flexible, and low maintenance in a negotiation makes you a more attractive candidate. It doesn't. It makes you a less expensive one, and there is a very significant difference. You are allowed to know what you're worth. You are allowed to ask for it. You are allowed to walk into a compensation conversation with a number prepared and a rationale ready, and the confidence to hold your ground when the first offer is lower than you expected. None of that makes you difficult. All of it makes you someone who takes their career seriously. And here's the thing. Companies actually respect it. The candidates who negotiate well don't get rejected for it. They get hired, and they get hired at better numbers. And they start the job having already demonstrated that they advocate for themselves effectively, which is often exactly the kind of person a company wants on their team. Know your number. Stop volunteering information that weakens your position. Let them move first when you can. And please, Stop apologizing for expecting to be paid what you're worth. The game is being played whether you're ready or not. Now you know which moves to stop making. If this gave you something real to take into your next interview, hit that like button and subscribe because we put out content like this every week. Drop a comment below. Tell me which phrase you've caught yourself saying. I read every single one. See you in the next one.